ladies and gentlemen.
Really? Out of the gate?
Yeah.
For 210?
Have 210, special 210. I want to do a bad accent. And I'm from Toronto, eh?
Nice.
It's been a while.
Yeah. A little callback.
A little callback to an earlier time of bad accents. My name is Grab Elwood.
I'm Chris Mancini, and we've got a wonderful show for you today. We're going to be talking in depth about Catain America, Winter Soldier, to give you a little earbuds preview, and also we'll be talking to our guest, Steve Cooper.
How about
We didn't introduce him yet, but I'm just saying that's
Episode
coming up.
210, halfway to 420.
Nice. another half math thing.
420 somewhere.
Yeah.
It's episode 420.
future.
Yeah, in the future it'll be
Yeah,
episode
in the
420.
future.
So people can, on that episode, can smoke marijuana. I won't.
You get a contact high, though.
I'm a living contact high. I haven't been on the road with Doug since January. And I'm going back.
Did your head clear?
My head clear. My skin, everything feels great. And I'm going back on the road with them this week. So I gotta,
You gotta take some airborne before you.
there's weed-borne out there that I take to prevent.
Yeah, it effervesces.
Yeah,
and then
it's like a weed firewall,
right?
That you take. That's what weed-borne is. So we're gonna weed-borne it. Let's thank everyone who came out to the Nerd Melt.
Got some great footage from Nerd Melt on Sunday.
Really solid interviews with some fans, specifically Joe and West, who came out, and Martin and Leonardo. These guys, all fans, and had really.
Somebody brought their kids.
Someone brought their kids. Yeah, Gary brought his daughter Ella, and they all had really cool, interesting things to say about podcasting and relate in a way that it was just, it was funny. The crew was all because prior to this, now we've just the last 2 weeks have been shooting all podcaster interviews, which have been great. We've been getting great stuff. But I remember some of the crew guys were like, so when are we going to start, tying these stories together? I go, just wait. When we talk to the fans.
Yeah, and you're the crew. Shut up.
Yeah, just hang the lights. Stop your yapping.
I remember paying you for opening your crew hole.
Yeah, I remember you to just press play and shoot. Make sure it's in focus.
Yeah.
It was cool because, tying stuff in, remembering interviews that I had done with the podcasters and these fans talking about those specific shows, or, when Todd Glass came out, or when, Greg Barrett was dealing with, relapsing and going back into recovery and all that stuff. So it was really interesting. It was really cool. And thanks to everybody that came out, and thank you to everybody at
Nerd Melt.
Nerd Melt that helped. And we got great interviews at Sideshow Network.
Yeah. They were really good too.
Really good stuff.
And we just want to also give you an update on the movie. We are, as we said too, we came up a little short with pledges that didn't fund and after the commission. So we put up on comedyfilmnerds.com where you can still pre-order the $25 and $50 tier, as well as a customized one if you want to go. We could use one or two more at the $10,000 level. That would definitely help.
Then here's the thing: we really want to go to Australia and Japan and
follow these storylines.
As the podcasters and everybody were talking about the connection to fans and hearing fans on the other side of the world, and specifically. Then, in Australia, and Russell, we've spoken about the kangaroo miner.
Yes. It's brutal in the kangaroo mines.
The kangaroo mines are brutal. So I want to see a guy in a kangaroo mine. I want to know what that's like.
Yeah. That'd be really funny if it's the miner actually sits in the pouch with the helmet. And then they go
and he hops around and chops away kangaroo shavings. Yeah, so we want to see this thing that we didn't know existed.
I told Neil we might be going to Australia, and you know what he said to me? He goes, Australia, that's where the most poisonous animals in the world live.
Yeah, so hopefully we're going to...
That's an odd reaction, though.
Thanks, Neil.
It? Yeah.
You're a worldly man.
Yeah, I'm not going to go seek out poisonous animals. I'm not going to go looking for them. Yeah, or I don't think they're going to jump up and chase us, I
don't know. They might hate American camera crews.
But we want to let you guys know, too, and again, we're going to be transparent about this whole thing. It's about 30 grand is what we're looking at. We need to make up in the shortfall. And Graham and I are putting more of our money in. I don't want you to think that we're just asking all you guys to do all the work.
Like
we're not.
Another Kickstarter.
Yeah, no, we're making up the shortfall as well. We're putting more of our own money in, but we really could use that 10 to 20 grand help to get us to the to get us overseas. And that doesn't just mean cash. I mean, if you guys, like I said, if you work for an airline.
Well, some of you, we've already been getting great emails from people who listen to the show.
Said they would put us up in Perth.
Yeah, and a guy that works for a lighting company in Australia was like, I can help you out with equipment rental.
He said, just beware of the snakes.
Beware of the snakes and
the poisonous spiders.
Yeah, the kangaroo miners.
Yeah, and the poisonous
So already
dingoes.
you guys have been really helping out, which is such a cool thing, and it is about what this film is about anyway, is the podcasting community, and we've heard that said time and time again by the podcasters and fans these last 2 weeks of interviews. The last 2 weeks of interviews have just been amazing. It's been such a cool thing. And, we've got a lot more to go, but it's really awesome. So thank you to all of that.
We're very happy with the way it's coming out. It's amazing.
Yeah. Let's introduce our guest.
The host of Cooper Talk. Is not only a podcast but a radio show too in the Burbank, California. Ladies and gentlemen, a comedian that I've known for many, many years. When I started comedy in Philadelphia, he was already a well-known working comic, a legend in Philadelphia, as it were. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Cooper.
I wore the Temple shirt. Did you see that?
I did. I know.
I was back
Temple
east. I saw
Owls.
it at TJ Maxx for like $5, and I said it's going to come in handy one day when I come out. And when I was on the show, I told my girlfriend, I said, I got to go to the Temple. I got to go to the Temple. So it's great to be here. You guys, you do great work. It's you guys are you both been on my show.
Yes.
You've been on twice.
Uh-huh.
And it's been great.
Tell us about the show and like how does it work with radio and podcast at the same time?
Well, radio, I play 3 days a week on Indy 100, which is where I record. But I also play on All Radio X, which just different stations, WSDI Chicago, a few different stations. And what I do is the week after I air, I put them on podcasts. I put up one on Wednesday and one on Sunday because I record 2 hours, two 1 episodes, 2 1 hour episodes, and then I just put them on. I stagger them the week after, so people can listen to the show, and if they miss it, they can go to my website or iTunes or Stitcher.
Right. Cool. And is it like a show business? Like, tell our fans who may not be familiar with it what it is the focus is.
I just talk about people's careers. No, seriously, my catchphrase is I'm only as hip as my guest. So that takes all the onus off me.
Yeah.
So once I start talking to them, I do my research. I see what they've been. Someone like you, I've known, so we talk,
Sure.
or like John Matt is on. We talk about old stories. But a lot of actors I've been getting lately I'm getting a lot of character actors, and I look at their IMDb, and there's like 150. Credits. So you're sitting there going, where do you start? So I just try to piece it together and just try to go chronological. And then I steer off because when we interview, we do go off on tangents. But I always bring it back to the show's about them. I don't want it to be about me because I'm not interesting. I don't have 200 credits on IMDb. But it's been great like that.
Very cool. Well, Steve, I want to ask you this. You have your own website, right?
Yes.
Is it a Squarespace website?
I have no idea. Wow.
It should be.
It should be.
What does that mean?
A Squarespace website. Well, this episode is actually brought to you by Squarespace.
Okay.
And Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that makes it easy and fast to create your own professional website or online portfolio so people can find all your work. And for a free trial and 10% off, see, this is where it would apply to you.
Yes.
As your first purchase, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code CFN. 10% off.
I was going to say, all of your character actors that have been on your show, if they don't start a Squarespace website to showcase all of their work, they should.
They really should. I mean, every character actor, whether you're, Barfly number 4, or whether you're...
I remember when I first moved out here, and especially in the Valley, there's a lot of character actors.
A ton.
Yeah, character and commercial actors. And you get to that thing where you're like, did I go to high school with this guy?
Yeah.
Or, oh, no, it's the guy from the Pepsi ad.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. That's how I get my guests. When I sit there, I'll be watching TV, and I'll see, like, let's say it's a castle, and I go, that guy looks really familiar. So I'll push the episode button on my remote, and I go into IMDb, and I look, and I see the name, and I go, okay, they have to be on Twitter, or they have a website, or they have Facebook, and I send them a message, and most of them get back to me. I've had a lot of I had the janitor from the Breakfast Club on 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
John Kapelos, who's been in a ton of stuff. I mean, I have Ethan Embry coming on tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just different people. I sit there and I go, wow.
I could talk to him about the Breakfast Club for an hour.
Yeah, easily.
And then I would tell them to start a Squarespace website.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Called breakfastclubjanitor.com, and I would use coupon code CFM.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that if you were?
I would absolutely. Yeah. And I would just, that scene in the movie where he's like, oh yeah, you think you don't, well, however he said it, he's like, oh, you think I don't pay attention, I don't listen, I don't go through your trash? Yeah. And they all the kids at the same time all go, oh
my God, he knows everything. He's like the CIA.
Yeah.
And so the great thing about Squarespace, Steve, in case you weren't aware of it,
and high school janitors,
they're both drag and drop. They're just really easy,
which is good for because I'm clueless. That's wonderful for me.
No, I set mine up, so if I can do it, you can.
It makes it so easy, and there's great support, and it's very affordable, and there's different plans, and we really recommend it. The other thing that's great about Squarespace is they're a big, strong advocate of podcasting.
Yes,
so we want people to support them because they support us.
One of the interviews yesterday at Nerd Melt, we were talking to this guy Leonardo, and we were asking him, why does he like podcasting? And he's like, sometimes I when I listen to a podcast, they'll just have it's advertising that's for me. Like there'll be one sponsor, and he goes, I started a Squarespace site. Like he listed Squarespace. He said, I've used that, and he goes, it's advertising that actually is pertains to me and what I'm doing. So it was a cool thing. It was
great. So let's get into it. Oh my God, Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Who wants to start? You know what? Maybe we should let our guest start because he hasn't seen a lot of the other Marvel movies. Yeah, so let's get his perspective.
I will start.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
No. Chris said, go see a movie. And I said, I saw Grand Budapest Hotel. He said, we talked about that. So I said, what's coming out? And then I told Chris, I have seen Spider-Man and Iron Man. I haven't seen the Avengers, which I heard is great. I haven't seen the first Captain America. So I told my girlfriend, she saw the Avengers, she liked it. I said, let's go to see Captain America. So we went yesterday morning, and we went to the smaller theater in Burbank because the big one, the show was later, and that would be packed. And I went in not really expecting anything. I know it would be good because I read the Flickster reviews and good reviews, but when you go into one of those movies, and I'm not per se a fan of comic books, I read them when I was younger, but when you go in, and you see it and you're not expecting anything and you don't have that like, oh, I'm a comic person, that I expect this and that. Mm-hmm. I tell you, it kicked ass. It's just I love not violence movies, but it's the violence it's the cartoony violence, but the fight scenes were great. The story was good. The banter back and forth, a great cast. And I was like, now I'm going to Avengers is on Epix. I'm going to go home, put it on demand and watch it because it's really like, that's what movies are supposed to be. It's just fun,
Yeah. Yes. That's the thing about this. And I think that's why overall these Marvel movies have been doing so well is they're capturing the right amount of fun, just pure of what makes comic books fun.
Absolutely.
And staying true to the characters and the origins and the universe of these characters. And then
what makes them great?
What makes them great?
You don't lose that in these movies.
I really liked it, and then of course, cool action, cool special effects,
amazing action.
Yeah,
it's one of those movies where you go, oh, this cost like $170 million, but you go, oh, it's on the screen. I see it. Yep. I see the $170 million in every car crash, even though every effects house on the planet worked on it. So it looked amazing. Now, I want to say something just in a broad sense about these Marvel movies, and one of the reasons why I think they're so successful is that when you had the DC movies like Dark Knight and all of these other ones, even throughout the years, even going back to Michael Keaton, the way a lot of comic book movies used to be, where they were a film interpretation of these characters. They were, all right, if these characters were on film and in a movie, this is how they would act, this is what we like. Now, a lot of times their characteristics would transfer over. But these Marvel movies, starting with Iron Man, are the first time I've ever seen, like, these are comic books come to life. This is really what they are. These are really comic books come to life in everything from the color to the scenes to the action, and you could really see it. This is my comic book alive, and also the way they interact with each other. That never used to happen either. Like, you have, there's this whole cinematic universe of these comic books, and all the characters cross-pollinate, then they all come in with the Avengers, and then they all do their separate movies, and there's so many pitfalls for doing that, and they're sidestepping, I'd say, most of them. Every once in a while there's a misfire, like when you have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or when you have Like the Hulk movies, they couldn't quite seem to get right. But, you know, for the most part, I mean, that track record is on par with Pixar with these movies. I mean, they've really been really great. I mean, I love this movie. I thought it was fantastic.
What's amazing for me also was, as I don't know the Captain America whole backstory, but going into it, I didn't need to. I was caught up as soon as they showed him walking through the museum, which isn't a giveaway. Then I said, okay, I got the gist. I mean, I knew who he was, but that's what's great about it. And I didn't see the first one, which I don't know if it had anything to do. I didn't know any of the characters. And I just sat there and went, you don't do that usually when you see, if you follow, like with comic books, it's the inside. Right. They did a Dungeons and Dragon movie. Yeah. If I went in, I had no idea what it was. but that movie, I just walked in, I said, not knowing anything, and I walked out like, wow, I know the whole story now. You know, and that's what was amazing.
And that's what's a sign of a really well put together movie, because you have the fans that do know the whole story, and they're just as entertained as the fans that are coming in cold. So you have all the information there for new fans, and you also have all the information to kind of tip a hat to the fans that already kind of know everything. What I really loved about it too is, and this is a great formula, and we've seen it also in comic books and with Dark Knight, is you don't just have Captain America in every scene beating everybody up. Then it's a boring movie. What you have is other characters. You have other characters with things to do. You know, there's other characters with other motivations, but tie into the story that may not necessarily be in the same scene or doing what Captain America is doing, regardless of whether they're on the same side or not, which makes a movie so much more interesting and puts it more on like a conspiracy thriller elements than just like an action punch 'em, beat 'em up.
Punch 'em, beat 'em up.
Yeah.
it's better than a beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's twice as good.
Well, I like I wanted to touch upon what you said about the sort of spy conspiratorial aspect of this film. I really liked that because, again, it gave the characters more depth, and again made it more interesting because it's so easy for big budget special effects to just go from one big dumb loud blow up,
one set piece to the next,
with no no
reason for
it, and just like another fight scene. And this was like and all like how Samuel Jackson played that, how it was vague. Is Scarlett Johansson like where does everyone fall? Like and the backstory that Steve Rogers was frozen for 50 years.
Right.
So how is he going?
How does he even fit into this new world?
How does he fit in? Why does he need to? Does he want to?
Right.
You know, and those.
Is it better that he doesn't?
Is it better for him, for the world? Like, does he need this? And is S.H.I.E.L.D. to be trusted? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
And that's always been a theme in the comic books. Is S.H.I.E.L.D. a little? It's like the NSA. Like it's a little too shadowy of an organization. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, they're for the good all the time.
They always say everything's for the good. They kind of use that as an excuse.
They don't do anything weird or underhanded. There's no secret prisons anywhere.
Yeah, I know. And they went into that, and it just made it more interesting to watch because
and relatable because there was a lot of real world parallels. Yeah,
that's what they did. They were sort of drawing about the sort of how America in post 9/11 America, is wrestling with and continues to wrestle with. Here we are, 13 years later, of like.
We'll eliminate threats before they're threats.
Right.
Yeah. Well, how though? It's like in America, like, well, we're going to have drones.
That didn't work with Minority Report.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I remember like, what was it last year when Obama was like, I'm on board with drones. And I was like, what? And that controversy of, and where do you stand on that personally? And, we've been in this country, we've been fighting a war in Afghanistan for 13 years. It's the longest war we've ever been in. And, what is the justification of that? We want to stop terrorism. How do we do it? You know what I mean? Like, where do we stand on this? And they put that in this it's a summer popcorn movie.
Right, exactly.
And that's awesome that they did that and make us all sort of think about that through these comic book characters.
And you also, this is what I love too about this movie. It dispels the myth that popcorn movies need to be dumb, big, and loud only.
Yep.
Like the excuse drives me nuts. Oh, it's just a popcorn movie. Oh, so that means it doesn't have to be good or have a compelling story or characters or plot. No, this was 100% the definition of a popcorn movie, and it was amazing and it was fantastic.
Yeah, what's also good with the characters was there was certain people that in the beginning you just had a very small part, and then they all ended up being an integral part, which is you don't expect that in a popcorn movie.
Right.
I mean, the writing, there was layers. It was like,
Right.
okay, this person who, wait a second, this person is that person that now they're there, and it just added to it.
Yeah, and that again, that's the mark of a good script. And this script has 5 people credited, which is usually like,
Yeah, that's usually
too many punch ups. This
Yep.
is going to be horrible.
That's usually 5 red flags.
Yeah, it's usually all together. But and it's got 2 directors, and it's like, ugh, boy, this could be a G.I. Joe or a Battleship
Or a Flintstones.
or any really awful. But they did it right because and we've talked about this before. I get not the feeling, but it's clear that Marvel has really come in the best way possible, been very hands-on with the making of these movies. Like,
Yes.
you just get that, like, this is what it is. They know we're staying true to these characters, and yet make it big and fun
Right.
and popcorny and summer movie. Like, they do all those things right. And
somebody actually said do both.
Somebody's-
Well, we can do both. Yes, you can.
it is one of those
yeah.
things. No, you can't do both.
Yeah.
You absolutely can. These movies prove it time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every time, like Iron Man 2 was the only sort of misfire. So in this new
Right.
reincarnation of Marvel, really, I mean, Iron Man 1, 3 was great.
Yeah.
The 2 Thors,
Yeah, I liked both Thors.
You
It's
know?
just, like I said, like the Hulk, really, with the Edward Norton Hulk.
the Ed Norton Hulk, but even that was not horrible.
No, it was watchable. The Ang Lee one was not watchable.
Yeah, the Ang Lee one was.
And that was just because I don't even blame him. I blame the person that hired Ang Lee to make a Hulk movie.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah. We want Dostoevsky to do slapstick.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Brett Ratner can remake Seven Samurai. That'll be great. That'll be perfect choice.
Oh, I just physically became
Ill.
when you said that. I think I need to go to a physician's.
Go back to the chiropractor.
Yeah, I gotta get readjusted. You put me out of alignment with that hypothetical.
Nightmare.
Oh, it is a hypothetical nightmare.
Now, did you guys see it in a full house? Because mine was an early show. I mean, how did the crowd? Was it a packed house when you were there?
Crowd loved it.
Okay, because it was as 10 o'clock in the morning, so it was not that full. But I was just wondering how the crowd would react, because it is. I mean, I'm sure it's one of those movies where people clap at the end. In a lot of movies, people don't clap. They just, we're out of here.
People clap during, like whenever Captain America kicks a fair amount of ass, then there's always that clap break, that applause break.
It's one of those movies, and I think because now Marvel has built up all of this kind of goodwill with movie fans and with like comic book nerds, that it's people are like, yeah, and you kind of want to see it.
Excited about it, yeah.
You it's like going to a sports bar. Like, you want to see it in a crowded theater because you want that excitement. You want everybody kind of on board with the fun of it. I mean, when the trailer came out, I went,
I was like, I can't wait.
This is going to be great.
Yeah.
And I don't think it disappointed me at all.
No, it was just as good as I wanted it to be.
Yeah, it was excellent.
I will say one thing because I know we have parents listening too. It is a PG-13. All these Marvel movies are rated PG-13, but they do have varying levels of violence in them. And this one is a fairly violent movie. It's definitely that kind of Lord of the Rings violence where there's not a lot of blood or gore, but it's still a lot of violence. The body count is huge. I mean, this is not a spoiler, but somebody gets thrown into a propeller. I mean, there's some nasty stuff in it. So I really rethink taking young children to this movie.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's good for young children. So what else do we have coming up now in the Marvel world?
Oh, well, Guardians of the Galaxy is coming up.
Yes, they played that an extended trailer in front of this.
I am excited about Guardians of the Galaxy. I was not on board at first. I thought, this is dumb. They're never going to be able to pull this off, and it's going to be like, just they're going to try to make it too serious. And then I saw the trailer. I'm like, nope, I'm on board. They got the right tone. It looks the right mix of silly and action, and then self-aware, and James Gunn, I think, is going to do a great job with it.
It looks fun.
Yeah, it does look
someone
fun.
who doesn't know, I don't know. Someone put on Facebook. I saw the movie. They said they should do a Loki. I don't even know who Loki is. The Loki movie. I don't know. But the Guardian, that one you said, I was watching it, and I said it looked exactly. It's like, this is going to be funny, and then you get the serious part, and I'm like, it just looks what the movies are supposed to be, fun.
Yeah, I think my wife put it best after we saw the trailer. She just looked at me and went, the raccoon makes it.
Is that a title, Chris, that you've read before?
No, I've never read Guardians of the Galaxy. That's not one I ever read. But speaking of covered, I was talking to Jackie Cation. She wants to come on and do the spoiler ep for that one because that's one she read all the time.
Ooh,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you this, Steve, because I know we have talked about it on the show, but I am curious to hear what you did think of the Grand Budapest Hotel.
I enjoyed it. It was a caper movie to me. It felt like more like it wasn't. Everyone says, and someone said a great thing. If no one can answer about a Wes Anderson movie, they just can't say, "Oh, it was good." They have to sit there and go on and on and on, just a normal conversation. But it was one of those movies. Once again, it reminded me of the old caper, like the one scene where they're chasing down the sled, down the ski ramp, and it's that sort of quirky movie I like. It's sort of like that Woody Allen-ish feel, but more quirky. And I thought it was very enjoyable.
Do you like his movies overall?
Yeah, I mean, I like Rushmore. The Tannenbaums, I love the characters. I didn't think that the story was that good. Mm-hmm. But then, the other ones, Bottle Rocket's his first one, so you can't sit there and say, oh, it's great. But Rushmore was just a fun movie, and Life Aquatic was fun. They're fun, and they're quirky, they're offbeat, but as long as people don't try to go too offbeat. Like this one, it was just, and wasn't too offbeat. It was fun, and it was a caper movie. And it's one of those things, you go, you see it. I mean, it's a good rental, but, that's the thing. It's like, if you want to spend money to see a movie, if you're going to spend money, go to see Captain America because you're getting your bang for the buck on a big screen. Grandpa, if you see that on your 50-inch TV at home, it's not going to be taking away from the big screen. You don't need surround sound.
Right. I want to get back to this, though, to Captain America. Where, I mean, obviously they teased it, of course. They always tease it. But where else can this character go now? Because they've done two movies. The first one was the actual World War II origin story, which was great, which is a great way to introduce him. And now this one, modern day, where does Captain America go?
There's actually a lot of places that Captain America can go. I mean, Captain America fights the Red Skull periodically, and there's always villains that can come back, and also leading the Avengers. And then he's got a rather large rogues gallery on his own for Captain America. But the thing about Captain America has always been, he's always been, in a way, kind of the equivalent of Superman in DC, where he's like the noble hero, like more human than human kind of thing. Like he's like represents the ideals of humanity and America, basically. And he's the hero that maybe the other heroes like look up to, or like Batman, or like kind of, sneer at a little bit, like, oh, he's a fossil, that kind of thing. So it's kind of that mold, and there's actually very fertile ground there. You can do a lot with that character. So it depends where they, what they do with him and where they go with it, but there's a lot of stuff, and there's always the death rebirth storylines that every comic book character had, which is actually a more recent one, is the death of Captain America.
Well, I mean, and the other thing I want to say this is now, Chris Evans is great.
Yeah, I'm on board with Chris Evans.
So on board.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four movies made me like, oh, this dude.
Yeah.
Clearly not his fault. The Fantastic Four movies are not his fault at all.
Did we hear, they announced the new Fantastic Four movie, and they announced the casting. And it was so miscast. They cast almost 20-some-year-olds for especially for Reed Richards, really, the scientist. And the fans went nuts. And I was just thinking in my head, this is like the other studio going, because it's another studio that still owns the rights. I think it was Fox saying pretty much, fuck you, Marvel, we still have them, we're going to ruin them, ha ha.
Yeah.
And then the backlash was so huge, like even more than normal, more than Ben Affleck, Batman normal. Everything got pulled, and everything's going back into development, including the casting.
I mean, I love how Chris Evans is acting like a man from the 40s.
Yeah, and that's key to this character. That's if you can't get that right, you can't get Captain America right. That's it. That's your foundation for this.
And he has that look, like the old school movies. Like when you see him in black and white footage, you think, okay, it's not like it's some guy who, and you don't really see anything about Chris Evans in TMZ or anything like that. So you don't know what the guy's like. But if it's someone like a Colin Farrell, you're going, well, the guy's smoking cigarettes and walking around. Then you see him with that character, you're like, I don't buy it. It's Colin Farrell. But this one, no, he's not in the forefront. So people are like, okay, the guy's clean cut. He's ripped. He's a big guy, and he's perfect for Captain America.
he's great in the way he plays it. The relationship with Scarlett Johansson I really liked.
That was really cool too. Yeah.
How they sort of played that out. The stuff with his neighbor and all that stuff I really liked. And I really like Anthony Mackie. His
neighbor, by the way, too, in the comic books is like kind of an on again, off again girlfriend so they might develop that storyline as well.
Well, that's cool because again, like Anthony Mackie, who plays Sam Wilson and Falcon. In the beginning, he's great in terms of his like reverence and also a little like, damn, like how come, this guy keeps passing me, you know what I mean?
Jogging,
like, he's so good. And on all of it, I mean, like Robert Redford I loved in his part, and I thought he was perfect for that. And
there's a great War Games joke in there.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. When
my girlfriend caught that. She's like, that's from the Matthew Broderick movie. I'm like, War Games?
Yeah, there's a great one.
Really?
When they're looking at the, this is not a spoiler, by the way, there's an old computer that they're looking at, and Scarlett Johansson goes, "Want to play a game?" And she's like, "That's from," and Captain America goes, "Yeah, I saw it."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny when he pulls out the list of things he needs to get caught up on. And it says Star Wars /Trek.
Right.
Like that was really
Nirvana.
Cool. Nirvana.
Yeah.
Like that was really cool. So I really like this movie, and I'm just so excited. It's just like every summer we're going to get a great Marvel movie or two.
Yeah, and this
like
is
I'm just like, oh great, it's summertime.
And this is a great example of voting with your dollar. This movie deserves to have made $90-some million over the weekend.
Do you remember when we started doing this podcast 4 or 5 years ago, and it was, or when we started doing the website 6 years ago, and was just, we almost like dreaded the summer sometimes. You know what I mean? Like there was some summers we'd get excited for, but then they would always be let down.
There'd always be a Green Lantern.
There'd always be a Green Lantern. There'd be a Green Hornet. We'd be like, ugh. And now it's
Neil can't see all of these. We're going to have to see a few of these.
And now those movies still come out, but it doesn't matter because there's this kind of stuff coming every summer, and it's awesome, man.
Although apparently the next thing is the new Captain America movie is the same release window as the new Dark Knight Superman movie. And what I find really funny is when I see on the internet people listening, "Oh, that was a bad mood, Marvel. You can't go up against Batman and Superman." It's not like you go to the movies and go, "Oh, I can only see one of these movies. Which one will I choose?" And I'll never get to see the other one ever. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It has nothing to do with when these movies come out. If it's a movie that you want to see, you'll go see it. It doesn't matter that it comes out right near another movie that you may want to see. You might actually go see two movies you want to see.
But you might also get the people sneaking in. That's one of those sneaking in things. You go out and you go, all right, I saw the Batman, but now, you know what? Oh, I can get in the... You look at the time and you go on, because then that's like the perfect evening. Right. Yeah. Then you can talk to your friends like, oh, well, which one do you like better? And that just, that's what happens to them, I think.
If I wasn't so tired, I would have snuck into the raid too.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have snuck in. I would have bought a separate ticket because I want to give that movie my money.
And it would have been at least 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I know. It's long.
I saw it last night. We're going to talk about that on the next one.
I'm going to see it again. I'm going to see it. Not again. I will actually see it. Shooting this movie has been hard for me to go actually see movies.
Oh yeah, it's been killing us. I mean, the other thing we forgot to mention about the movies, it's not like we have a huge staff. We're all doing like 9 or 10 different hats right now. So we're all just trying to get everything done.
Yeah.
So it's everything from producing to, directing to,
locations,
crew, craft services,
loading,
everything.
It's just like,
it's, we're on a skeleton crew.
Yeah. Cause, God, a friend of mine saw Noah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm glad you guys didn't want me to see that.
No,
I was like, Chris said see something. I'm like, okay, I really don't want to see that.
No, not Divergent.
So.
What was his one-line review? It was, oh man. Forget, he slammed the movie this is great. This makes
I've seen a bunch of Facebook posts saying that the audience was leaving 2 by 2 from the movie theater.
No, it was. Oh no, I know what he said. He goes, "It's Gladiator meets Transformers." That's what.
Really?
That's what he said it was. He said it was dumb and just
and CG-rific.
Yeah, and just stupid. He goes, and there was people I've heard this numerous times in the theater who were like, "Oh, that's not in the Bible." Like they rewrote the Bible. They punched up the Bible.
Joe Esterhaus,
the Bible. So that's our quick review of Noah, folks. If you like Gladiator, and
we actually got. I sent it back, though we didn't publish it. We got C.J. Johnson sent us a review of Noah, but here's the thing: it was so insightful, and it started going into more his history and relationship with Christian type movies. I said, "You got to make this a column." I sent it back to him and said, "Talk about all of the Christian movies that you've seen and that you in your experience with them, because this is seemed very personal to him." So hopefully we'll be getting a revised column on that.
Well, yeah, check out C.J. Johnson. Just started writing for us a couple months ago.
He's our Australian writer.
He's our Australian correspondent. So he's awesome, man. Check that out. All right.
So, Steve, why don't we talk to you about like what kind of movies do you like? Like when you're home with the girlfriend, like what do you guys gravitate towards?
I love documentaries. I think we talked about this when on the show, when you were on my show, about when your book came out.
Yeah.
That's what I think about Netflix. I'll just go and I'll scan and I'll watch documentaries. I mean, she'll watch anything. I mean, she's one of those, like when she goes back to visit her mom, I'm like, okay, well, you know what, you're going to watch that movie. I mean, like the Adam Sandler preview was on. I said, I'm not going to see that with you, just so you know. She goes, I don't want to see that. But I like Woody Allen movies. I love mob movies. I love, those kind of dark movies. But documentaries is just something that you just find random stuff that you would never know about. And there was one called, a band called Death. It was about this punk rock in Detroit. Yeah. And it's like, I didn't even know about them. And I've listened to punk rock, and you put it on and you just, for an hour and a half, you just fed knowledge that you didn't know anything about. And I'd rather watch that unless it's, I have all the cable channels. I don't hardly watch any of the movies. I mean, every once in a while you'll sit there and go, okay, this is on demand. We'll watch that. But that's what I've been gravitating towards documentaries, just because.
That's a great film, by the way. A band called Death is a great film.
Amazing story. And no one knows about it. I mean, I've never heard of them. And it's just amazing how that's what documentaries do. When it's not a documentary that is, when someone's doing propaganda, as I call it, when they sit there and shove, it's their point of view down your throat. I don't like them. But when you watch, even like the ESPN, I'm a big sports fan, the 30 on 30s.
Oh, those are great. The 30 for 30s are great.
And they're just put together so well. And you can sit there and you watch it, and it's an hour and a half and you don't even feel like it. And, now with Netflix, there's no commercials. And, I got the Chrome thing upstairs because she's watching stuff downstairs. I watched off the Chromecast upstairs, and there's just, I watch them all in Salinger. There's different good ones, and that's the thing. You can find any topic you want, and you can find it. You can just sit there and scroll, and you're like, oh, I want to see that one. Then your queue ends up being like 20 things long, and then someone says, oh, that movie was great. So then you pop that to the top of your queue, and then some you start to watch, and they suck. And so then you just sit there and go, okay, I can stop it. That's what you didn't rent it. You're paying $7 a month.
What are some other ones that you've seen recently that you've liked? What are docs?
I can't think right now. I watched the last one last night, which was a short documentary from ESPN. It was on Herschel Walker, which is an amazing story about how this guy, when you watched him in college, he
was
beast,
unbelievable.
I mean, you looked at him, you went, and
when he went to the USFL, it was a shot, like the whole world almost exploded.
And he got signed the biggest contract. That was just amazing. Then there's one about this Boston Celtics player who was just a drug addict. And it was amazing. Like, he would be sitting outside Boston Garden in his uniform, waiting for someone to drop him off like Vicodin. And you sit there, and that's the thing. The sports ones are so honest. And there was, there's one also, it was on Epix. It was, Sam Rockwell was a narrator. And it was about how college athletes should get paid. And they showed that the whole argument where,
it's a big controversy.
Yeah. I mean, this guy who Ariel Foster played for Tennessee. Now he's a pro. He's like, I'm there. People wearing my jerseys. 125,000 people there. I score 3 touchdowns. I can't get a job because, and I can't eat. But if my coach brings me tacos, that's like a violation. And it was amazing that for how much money the NCAA makes, it blows you away.
Well, that's great because, I mean, and that's the thing I say about like some of the 30 for 30 documentaries and some of the ESPN ones. You don't need to be a sports fan to watch those. And I mean, that specific thing is because when those rules were written, it was back when in the 20s or 30s when you were a student athlete and universities they didn't have
They weren't making bank off the games.
$20 million TV contracts. I mean, these big schools like Alabama and USC, they make crazy money. And I used to be like, college students shouldn't get paid. But then I look and you're right. It's like if my jersey number was in the stands and the school was making millions of dollars off it, I'd be like,
yeah, I don't think they should get paid to play, but if they want to do a commercial,
they should
let them. Let's say someone from UCLA, we want you to do a commercial for Buffalo Wild Wings. Let the kid make $25,000. It doesn't affect him. It's with the Olympic athletes. I had Ty Babalonia on my show, and when she skated, they didn't make any money. Now, Lindsey Vonn.
They get the endorsements after.
Yeah. These now you don't have to win anything. Lindsey Vonn missed these Olympics, and she still made bank, and Ty Babalonia said they made nothing. They couldn't even. They had to pay for a lot of training. So it's that's what's great about these
rules.
They're archaic rules. I'll tell you a documentary I just saw on Netflix, which again does the great thing that you talk about the documentaries do, brings you into a world you knew nothing about. I saw the Academy Award winner, 20 Feet from Stardom, and I've obviously been watching a lot of documentaries to, get ready or prepare or up my knowledge for earbuds. Because we're trying to figure out how we're going to tell these stories for earbuds and how we're going to structure the story. And Andrew Garrity, our DP, goes, man, you should watch 20 Feet from Stardom because it kind of does the thing that we're talking about doing with the podcasting documentary. And it's a great film. I see why it won. It's about backup singers and sort of their history, coming in the kind of 60s. And 70s, and how they started out as most of them were black women that came from gospel backgrounds, and so they were in like R&B and stuff like that. And then the English rock bands started to put them in their song, Joe Cocker and the Rolling Stones and all this stuff. And then some of them were trying to get solo careers, and some had success, some didn't, some got out of the business. And it was just like that thing, that documentary, and it's such a great title of a movie, 20 Feet from Stardom, because you don't notice them as a fan. You listen to the music and you like the lead singer of the band or whatever, and maybe you're like, oh, the whole sound song's great, but it was like, certain songs, iconic rock and roll songs from the 60s and 70s, the chorus lines have the backup singers. It's great. One woman sang for Phil Spector and sang this song, and it was going to be her big solo career, and then he released it it said it was another woman's name and all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like, it's so compelling.
I've heard it's great. So you said, remember, it's like the song "Give Me Shelter" by the Rolling Stones, one of my favorite songs. Yeah. Without the woman with the background singer singing that part, it's
murder.
It's not.
They talk about that.
Okay,
they talk about when she sings "rape, murder, it's just a shadow," and there was like 2 a.m, and they called this woman and said, "You need to come in here." And she's like, "I show up, I'm in slippers and rollers in my hair. It's 2 a.m, and Mick Jagger's like, 'We need this sound,' or whatever," and she just belts it out. And they're like, wow. And it's all of that stuff. And then where they are now, and then there was one woman who, she is still like the top lady, and everyone was like, you could be famous, you could have your own solo career. And she dabbled in it and went, nah, I don't want it. I don't want people knowing I don't want paparazzi follow me around. And that was really fascinating. Then there's a young woman who was a backup singer who sang at Michael Jackson's funeral, I think, at the Staples Center, and all of a sudden, like, Entertainment Weekly showed it, and she's trying to do this solo career, and she's wrestling with, they're offering her backup singing gigs, but it's a fascinating film, and you watch it and you go, I see why this won. I see why this won, and it's beautiful, and there's interviews with Mick Jagger and Sting and Luther Vandross, and I mean, it's just like, it's awesome. And they get, of course, they get great archival footage, and then, interviewing some of these women today, and some of them seeing each other for the first time in 25, 30 years or whatever. It's a great film.
They just open up. It's like the Sugarman, Searching for Sugarman. I mean, you watch it and you sit there. It's a story, and you come away and you feel good. Like, we all go through our doubts in this business, and you sit there and go, God, this guy was a star, and none of us have had to break rocks, for our job. And you watch them, and you just come out going, man, that's the thing. A lot of them make you feel good. I mean, a lot of them are good. I mean, some of course are depressing, but a lot of them just make you feel.
A lot of them evoke an emotion, that's for sure. Good or
exactly,
or happiness or depression.
And Searching for Sugarman specifically, they have a nice. It's very subtle and not used that much, but I think the perfect amount. They just put a little bit of animation in there of that one song, and they sort of start to animate the streets of Detroit, where he sort of came up, playing in these little dive bars in Detroit, and this very kind of blue collar folk song guy, and it was just the way they did that. Like, I bought the album. Like, I bought Cold Fact the minute that happened. I saw that I bought that album because I was like, I got to listen to this all the time. So that's really
very cool.
Yeah,
and check those out. Those docs.
And I rewatched Dogtown and Z-Boys and Riding Giants and Step into Liquid. And Chris was like, "So we're only gonna watch surfing documentaries? That's your only recommendation?" Yeah. I go, "Well, Earbuds is going to be about surfing, right? It's going to be about podcasting and surfing." Wavebuds. All right, so let's move on to DVD.
DVDs and Blu-ray, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Now, these are obviously I'm going to own this on DVD. I like to wait. And get the boxed set because it's, a lot of times you get, maybe a little extra footage, a little extra bonus. I'm gonna get the boxed. I can wait. I'm good.
All right.
But it is out now. August, Osage County.
It is one of these movies. If you didn't see it in the theater, it's a good rental. Like I said, I didn't think it deserved all the Oscar hype, but it's still a good film. These are still very good performers, and part of it is just I have a personal preference because I think it's so hard to adapt a stage play, and I'm very critical when I don't think it's done correctly, and that just might be my personal snobbiness, just because my dad's a theater professor, so I watch. I don't know, but. Check August. Oh, I have a story to tell about my dad. This is so great. So we've been releasing photos and stuff from, hey, we're interviewing this person on Earbuds, and we've been doing it. So go to the Earbuds Facebook page, and so we've been releasing some little videos or outtakes on the Comedy Film Nerds YouTube channel.
Yes.
So we're interviewing David Huntsberger, and he starts talking like he's
in a witness relocation.
He covers his mouth. He's like, the thing about podcasting is sometimes you got to leave cash. And so we were all howling laughter. Keith Blomberg goes, okay, I'm going to pixelate his face, and we're going to put that up. And he puts it up on YouTube, and we released it seriously, like the nasty underbelly of podcasting. And he's talking about sometimes I'll have to kill someone for a podcast or 30 grand or whatever, right? So he puts that up on. And, of course, blasts it on Facebook. So I call my dad over the weekend. A family member who had been sick and in the hospital passed away. And it was, it was kind of one of those things. He was in 88, and it was sort of, it was sad. But you're kind of like, hey, he's out of pain. He was in a lot of pain. So I'm talking to my dad about that, and he's telling me about some other stuff. And then he goes, okay, on a second note, son, so I saw this podcast video thing about like drug money or something like that. I'm like, what? I'm in my head. I'm like, what? Because I've been talking to family members all morning, my cousin and my mom, about my uncle passing away, and it's just like, huh? And then he I can hear my dad's voice. I'm like, he's
got
really
worked up.
He's really concerned, and he's just like, some video. I go, and I'm just like racking my brain because I'm like, what? Because he's like, your documentary, and I'm like, all of a sudden the 500 interviews I've just done are all just pouring through my head. I'm like, Dad, I don't know what. He's like, some guy talking about money and drugs. And I just start laughing. I'm like, Dad, it was totally a joke. I go, podcasting is a bunch of nerdy comedians, and there's no one's
talking into their garage microphones.
Yeah, no one's getting killed for 20 grand in cash, and it's none of that. And he just went, oh wow, I guess I'm a little gullible.
If anything, people would be killed for $200. That's
First of all, I wish there was $30,000 being exchanged for this business.
You could buy every podcast in Los Angeles for $30,000.
It was the most adorable thing.
Yeah,
so
great.
Check that video out and see what made my dad afraid for his son's life. See what Dr. Bill got worked up about.
And Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, I did not see this one, but they will, apparently enough people did that they will continue to make them.
Sure.
I just want to see one more thing about The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Why I wait for the box set? Because I'm hoping it will come with a statue of a dragon.
Of course.
That's
you have, you never, you get them for your birthday or Christmas and you buy them, check this out. And it's always like it comes in some gold box with the,
There's got to be a collector's edition.
There's got to be. He waits for the, Grandma, look, it came with this.
Better not sell out.
It came with a statue, or you can wear a mask or whatever. Like
it comes with its own ninja hood.
Yeah. You get your own throwing stars and you can pierce your earrings with it or whatever. Like it's always that.
So, no exception. Yeah.
I knew the Hobbit until they're like an actual Hobbit. You buy one.
You can buy an actual Hobbit. Yeah. Oh, speaking of that reminds me. Remember we were talking about going to Australia and I said, well, I might disappear and get a picture taken at Hobbiton over at New Zealand. People started posting on the Twitter feed, you got to go, it's great. And they're pictures of them at Hobbiton. It was great on Twitter.
Chris is gonna disappear in the middle of the Australia shoot if it happens.
So premiering this week, Rio 2. I don't know that many children that were demanding that the sequel get made. Draft Day, I don't know many.
I'm going to see this.
I think Costner's good at sports movies.
He is good at sports movies. Yeah. And this has the approval of the NFL.
All right.
So it's not like
maybe you guys will win me over on Draft Day.
The Chicago Grizzlies.
But it's the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, everyone's like, oh, Christ, we don't want to watch the Browns.
Fake team or whatever. But I'll watch this. You
all right.
A Costner sports movie, I'm in.
Okay. And next one is Oculus. This movie looks absolutely terrifying. It's another one of those movies that after the trailer, I can't go see it. It will scare the hell out of me. Under the Skin. Now, this is a really interesting movie. This is the Scarlett Johansson artsy kind of UK movie that is about her. She plays an alien that comes down and seduces men, kills them, and takes their skin. But it's not like a gory, graphic, horrible movie. It's more of a metaphorical.
I think I dated this girl once. Yeah. Come on now.
It's more, and there's very little dialogue in it. It's a very artsy kind of horror movie with a lot of subtext and metaphor in it. So it's getting. The reason I want to see this too is that it's one of those movies that's getting wildly varying reviews. Everyone from people who love it's the best movie ever to this movie is dumb and unwatchable. So. I really want to watch it and see.
And she's naked.
What else. Clearly, if it's an art movie,
they say everyone's like all these guys we're going to see her naked.
I would not be surprised if she was naked in this movie. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
All right, I'll see it.
Yeah,
she kills Scotsmen.
Yeah,
Scottish hitchhikers. All right, well that is our program, ladies and gentlemen.
We've got more earbud stuff coming up. We'll be doing some more interviews actually in Chicago and in DC.
We're going to do DC, Baltimore, Philly,
New York
City, and then Chicago and Milwaukee.
But there will be some fan interview times we'll have at Chicago, right, at Zanies.
Chicago Zanies, May 24th. The downtown Zanies, the one on North and Wells from noon to, I think we'll do probably noon to 4. Noon to 5, I'm not sure.
And then we'll be on the Capitol lawn in D.C.
We'll be on the front of the Capitol lawn on May 14th, interviewing some folks. So.
And we're permitted, so if you see us there, it's not a mistake.
It's not a mistake. Well, it'd be nice if John Boehner chased us off this lawn.
That would be great. That'd be great footage.
Which I had to go through his office to get this permit, so now I get his newsletter.
Yeah.
Talking about Obama's war on coal.
Oh my God!
And tanning deals.
Yeah, tanning deals. It's 10% off on tanning, so it's great, and teeth whitening. So that's where we'll be, you guys. Check that out.
Steve run by Cooper? An Oompa Loompa.
Steve Cooper, where can people find you on the internet? Listen to your show.
CooperTalk.net. Follow me on Twitter at CooperTalk. If you have an Android phone, go to the Google Play Store, type in CooperTalk. I have an app. And then if you have an iPhone, it's coopertalk.podbean/mobile/ and then you can get the iPhone app.
So Google
it's a pain, yeah. Go Android. If you get people listen on Android, iTunes, just find me on iTunes. You don't want the app. But at CooperTalk, follow me on Twitter, and I post a lot.
Cool, guys. You can. He gets a lot of great interviews because he's here in LA, so you get to hear him interview.
You got some great interviews.
I've
Yeah,
been lucky in Nia Bartalos. I mean, just different people. I go, wow.
Yeah, so you can hear those folks. Of course, as we said, earbuds. All the help you guys have already been giving us is awesome. Any other help?
It's been invaluable. We wouldn't be this far without you guys.
There is a
obviously.
podcasting community, and we are very honored and happy to be a part of it. And you guys are a huge reason. You guys make it happen. So,
yeah. And we're going to be deciding literally within the next couple weeks whether we're going overseas or not.
Yep.
We're under the gun. We gotta make a decision.
We are under the gun. So, but thank you guys, and of course follow the @Earbuds Pod Movie on Twitter, the Earbuds fan page on Facebook. Like those because we're putting more updates and photos and footage and stuff. I mean, I'm releasing some photos and stuff through my personal Twitter and Facebook, but
that's the best place to keep posted on the actual movie.
Yeah, go to the Earbuds thing. And of course, I've got some comedy tour dates. I will be with Doug Benson the next month. We're going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina, April 10, Charlotte, April 12, Asheville the 13th, Salt Lake City the 17th.
You're going to meet our intern Daniel from Asheville.
Yes.
We'll be there the 13th.
And we'll be in San Francisco on April 19. Doug will be recording his album live at Helium in Portland on 4/20. And as always, we will be in Eugene, Oregon at the Wow Hall. Woodsmen of the World Unite on the 21st. And then, of course, Madison, Wisconsin, May 3rd. Chicago on the 4th. Rosemont on the 5th. Check all those dates out on comedyfilmnerds.com and GrantMelwood.com.
And I'll actually be in Las Vegas at the Improv at Harrah's this week from Tuesday through Sunday.
All right.
That's our show, ladies and gentlemen.
That is our
program. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Squarespace. Remember, coupon code CFN for 10% off.
Yeah, if you start a cool website, tell us about it.
Yeah,
if you start
absolutely.
a Squarespace website, tell us and we'll plug it.
Yeah, we've got a couple more of these ads to do. So if you started, we will promote it. So Squarespace website, create it, let us know.
Yeah. So maybe I should start a Whistling Banes website. Probably should.
Use the coupon code.
Yeah, I will. I'll use the coupon code, Chris. All right, guys. That is our show. Don't worry. I will see the Raid 2 and we will talk about it.
Yes, I'm ready to talk about it.
And I know you guys have been asking for some spoiler reps. We've been so busy with the film. We'll try to start banging some more of those out.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. We're trying our best.
We're trying
There's
our
a
best.
lot going on.
We're trying our best. So thank you once again to Steve Cooper.
Thank you.
My name. Thank you, Elvis. Thank you very much. My name is Graham Elwood.
And I'm Chris Mancini. And as always, remember,
Han shot first.
Hail Hydra.